"You stole my gold!" A settler's voice booms through the dusty trading post in Louisiana, 1875. Ayanna of the Choctaw stands tall, her eyes fierce. "I take nothing that isn't mine," she says, her voice steady as the river nearby. The crowd holds its breath. Nashoba, a Chickasaw trader, steps forward, his calm presence silencing the settler. The man glares, spitting out, "You'll pay for this." The air feels heavy, like a storm about to break. Why is Ayanna accused? And what price will she face for standing her ground? The sun climbs slowly over a gentle river in Louisiana, 1875. Its waters catch the light, sparkling like a mirror to the sky, whispering stories of life, loss, and change. The air carries the scent of pine and earth, a land alive with ancient secrets. Here, two worlds stand on uneasy ground. Native Americans and settlers share this space, their lives tangled in a fragile peace where trust is scarce and every step feels like a risk. In this restless place, we meet Ayanna of the Choctaw, a healer whose hands mend wounds, but whose heart hides scars. Her spirit burns bright, rooted in the wisdom of her people, who see the earth as a living gift. Beside her walks Nashoba of the Chickasaw, a warrior-turned-trader, his eyes carrying the weight of a past lost to violence. He searches for a new purpose, guided by his tribe's courage and hope for harmony. Their paths will cross at a trading post where whispers of conflict grow louder each day. This is no simple tale. It is a journey of strength, of finding light in darkness, and of building bridges where walls once stood. Join us as Ayanna and Nashoba weave a story of resilience and redemption, one that will echo like the river's song. The trading post in Louisiana, 1875, pulses with the rhythm of a world caught between hope and hardship. Voices barter over furs, laughter mingles with the clink of coins, and the scent of wood smoke hangs heavy in the air. Yet, amid this chaos, two figures stand out, their lives shaped by the land and the spirits of their people. Their names are Ayanna of the Choctaw and Nashoba of the Chickasaw, and their stories are threads in a tapestry of pain, strength, and quiet redemption. Ayanna, her name meaning eternal blossom, carries a beauty that defies the scars of her past. She is a daughter of the Choctaw, a people who see the earth as a living heartbeat, a mother who offers healing to those who honor her. Ayanna's childhood ended too soon. At 8 years old, her mother led her to the trading post, her grip tight with desperation. Coins changed hands, and her mother walked away, leaving Ayanna with nothing but the echo of her footsteps. Was I not worth keeping? The question haunts her, a shadow she cannot outrun. Now, Ayanna is a healer, her hands steady as she grinds herbs into salves, her voice soft as she chants Choctaw prayers over the sick. She knows the secrets of the land, how to coax medicine from roots and leaves, how to listen to the wind for whispers of guidance. Her skill is her armor, but it cannot shield her heart. Ayanna is tough, her words sharp like the thorns of a wild rose, cutting through flattery or deceit. She trusts no one, not fully, for trust is a luxury she lost long ago. Yet beneath that hardness lies a deep compassion. When a settler's child coughs through the night, Ayanna sits by their side, her fingers tracing soothing patterns, her voice humming a lullaby her mother once sang. She hides her pain behind that sharp tongue, but in those quiet moments you see it, a flicker of the girl who still dreams of being enough. Across the post stands Nashoba, a son of the Chickasaw, his name meaning wolf. It is a fitting name, for he moves with the grace of a predator, silent but sure, his eyes always watching, always searching. Nashoba was once a warrior, his life defined by the weight of a bow and the rhythm of his people's drums. He fought to protect his family, his wife, whose laughter was like sunlight, his son, whose tiny hands clutched his fingers. But settlers came, their hunger for land leaving only ashes. One night, fire swallowed his home, and with it, everyone he loved. The memory is a wound that never closes, etched in the lines of his face, in the way his hands clench when he thinks no one sees. Now Neshoba is a trader, his days filled with the barter of pelts and tools, his nights spent under a sky that feels too vast. He is guided by the Chickasaw way, the belief that courage is not just in battle, but in rebuilding. That community binds even the broken together. Neshoba is steady, his voice a calm anchor when tempers flare at the post. He is reflective, often found by the river at dusk, staring into the water as if it might show him the man he used to be. Guilt weighs on him, the endless question of whether he could have saved them. Yet there is hope in his heart, a stubborn spark that refuses to fade. He dreams of a day when his people and the settlers might share this land in peace, a dream that feels like chasing the wind but keeps him standing tall. Their paths cross in the dust and noise of the trading post, two strangers bound by the weight of their pasts. Aiyana notices Neshoba first, his quiet strength setting him apart from the loud traders and swaggering settlers. She watches him from a distance, wary, her trust eroded by years of broken promises. Neshoba sees her too, not just the healer with deft hands, but the woman whose eyes hold a fire that refuses to die. Their bond begins in small, fragile moments. One afternoon, Neshoba gashes his arm while unloading crates. Aiyana approaches, her movements brisk but gentle, cleaning the wound with water and wrapping it with a cloth soaked in river mint. "This is Choctaw healing," she says, her voice firm but kind. "The earth gives us strength if we listen." Neshoba meets her gaze, his eyes warm with something like gratitude. Later, by a fire under a sky blazing with stars, he shares a Chickasaw tale, one of a wolf who wandered alone until he found a pack to call home. "The stars guide those who look up," he says, his words carrying a quiet promise. Aiyana feels her guard soften, just a fraction, her heart stirring with the possibility of connection. As days turn to weeks, their bond grows deeper, rooted in the sharing of their cultures. Aiyana teaches Neshoba the Choctaw art of healing, guiding his hands to crush herbs, showing him how to feel the earth's pulse in the roots they gather. She speaks of her people's belief that every plant, every stream, is a gift from the spirits, meant to mend both body and soul. Neshoba listens, his respect for her growing with every lesson. In return, he shares Chickasaw stories of endurance, tales of ancestors who faced starvation and war yet kept their songs alive. He tells her of the wolf's courage, how it fights not for glory, but for those it protects. One evening, by the river's edge, its waters silver under the moonlight, Aiyana opens up, her voice barely above a whisper. "I fear I'll never be whole," she admits, her eyes fixed on the current. Neshoba doesn't rush to fill the silence. He points to the river, its surface unbroken despite the rocks beneath. "It bends, it breaks, but it keeps flowing," he says. "So do we." A tear slips down Aiyana's cheek, the first she has shed in years, and she lets it fall, a small release of the pain she has carried too long. Their connection strengthens through these quiet exchanges, each moment a step toward trust. Aiyana shows Neshoba how to weave Choctaw prayers into healing, her voice rising and falling like the wind as she calls to the spirits. Neshoba teaches her a Chickasaw dance, his steps slow and deliberate, a rhythm that speaks of survival. They laugh together, a rare sound for both, when Aiyana stumbles over the steps and Neshoba catches her arm. These moments are not loud, not declarations of love, but they are profound. They sit by the fire, sharing stories of their people, their losses, their dreams. Aiyana speaks of the mother she lost, the hole it left in her heart. Neshoba shares the weight of his family's absence, the guilt that gnaws at him. They do not try to fix each other's pain, only to witness it. And that is enough. One night, as the trading post falls silent, they stand together under a sky thick with stars. Aiyana looks at Neshoba, her voice soft but steady. The earth heals those who listen. He nods, his eyes reflecting the light above, and the stars guide those who look up. In that moment, something shifts. They are no longer just a healer and a trader, no longer just Choctaw and Chickasaw. They are two souls finding solace in each other, two hearts learning that pain does not have to define them. Ayanna feels a warmth in her chest, a flicker of hope that she might be more than her scars. Neshoba feels a spark of purpose, a reason to believe in a future worth building. Their bond is not yet love, but it is something stronger, a shared promise to face the world together. Their journey is just beginning, one that will test their strength, challenge their fears, and show them what it means to rise from ashes. This is the story of Ayanna and Neshoba, and it is only the start of their fight to find light in the darkness. The trading post in Louisiana, 1875, feels like a pot ready to boil over. The air grows thick with suspicion, and the fragile peace between Native Americans and settlers begins to crack. Ayanna of the Choctaw, the healer whose hands bring comfort, now finds herself at the heart of a storm. Whispers spread like wildfire among the settlers, their voices low but sharp. Her healing is witchcraft, they say. She speaks to spirits, they claim, pointing to the herbs she burns and the prayers she murmurs over the sick. These accusations are not new to Ayanna. She has heard them before, in the glances of distrust, in the way some settlers pull their children close when she passes. But now the whispers grow louder, more dangerous. A group of settlers gathers in the evenings, their eyes hard, their words sharp. "We cannot have a witch among us," one declares. "She must be banished," another insists. Ayanna feels the weight of their stares like stones piling on her chest, but she keeps her head high. She has survived worse than their words. She will not break now. Neshoba of the Chickasaw watches this storm brew, his heart heavy with worry. He sees the way Ayanna moves through the post, her steps steady but her eyes guarded, like a deer sensing a hunter. Neshoba has grown to care for her, not in the loud way of promises, but in the quiet way of someone who understands her strength and her scars. When the accusations grow bold, he steps forward, his voice calm but firm. "Ayanna heals," he says to a crowd one morning. "She saves lives you would lose without her." His words stir the air, some settlers nodding, others scowling. But Ayanna turns to him, her eyes flashing with defiance. "I stand alone," she says, her voice cutting through the noise. "I always have." Neshoba feels the sting of her words, not because they wound him, but because they reveal how deeply she guards her heart. He wants to protect her, to stand by her side, but he knows she is a flame that burns on its own. Still, he cannot stay silent. He speaks to the traders, to the native families, urging them to see Ayanna's worth. She is not a witch, he tells them. She is a gift. But the tension only grows, like a river swelling before a flood. Amid this unrest, Ayanna seeks solace where she always has, by the river that runs like a lifeline through the land. She kneels on its banks, the water lapping gently at the shore, its sound a soft song that calms her racing heart. She closes her eyes and prays to the Choctaw spirits, her voice barely a whisper. "The water carries pain away if you let it," she says, her hands tracing the current as if it could wash away the fear, the doubt, the weight of being seen as something she is not. The river is her refuge, a place where she feels the earth's embrace, where she remembers the teachings of her people. The Choctaw believe that all life is connected, that the trees, the water, the wind are kin. Ayanna clings to this wisdom, letting it anchor her when the world feels ready to tear her apart. She burns sage, its smoke curling upward like a prayer, and asks for strength, not just for herself, but for the people she heals, for the fragile hope of peace. Neshoba, too, carries the weight of this conflict. He faces pressure from the other traders, men who profit from keeping the peace, who urge him to stay neutral. Do not choose sides, they warn. You will lose everything. But Neshoba cannot turn away. He remembers the Chickasaw proverb his father taught him, "One tree falls, but the forest stands strong." It speaks of community, of standing together even when the winds howl. He shares this with Aiyana one evening as they sit by a small fire, the trading post quiet for once. She listens, her eyes fixed on the flames, and for a moment her guard softens. "That is a good saying," she murmurs, her voice carrying a trace of warmth. Neshoba nods, his heart lifting at the small bridge they build with words. He knows the risk of defending her, the whispers that he is too close to the Choctaw woman, but he cannot betray his heart. He sees in Aiyana the same resilience he seeks in himself, the same refusal to let loss define her. Key moments begin to shift the tide, small ripples that hint at change. One afternoon, a settler child, a girl no older than 7, slips away from her mother and finds Aiyana by the herb garden. The girl's cough had kept her awake for weeks, her small body weak until Aiyana's salves and prayers brought relief. "Thank you," the girl whispers, her tiny hand pressing a wilted flower into Aiyana's palm. "You made me better." Aiyana freezes, her heart caught between joy and fear. She kneels, meeting the girl's eyes, and smiles, a rare softness breaking through her armor. "Go back to your mother," she says gently, tucking the flower behind the girl's ear. The moment is fleeting, Whitman is quick to notice, and he certainly makes a sudden departure. The child's gratitude spreads quietly, sowing seeds of doubt among some settlers. A few begin to whisper, "Maybe she is not a witch. Maybe she is just a healer." But the loudest voices, the ones fueled by fear, still call for her banishment, and the trading post feels like a spark waiting to ignite. Another moment comes when Neshoba stands before a group of traders, his voice steady despite the glares. "Aiyana saved my life once," he says, holding up his scarred arm, the wound she tended now a faint line. "She could have let me bleed, but she did not. She does not harm. She helps." Some traders shift uncomfortably, their eyes darting away, while others nod, their faces softening. Neshoba's words carry the weight of his past, the loss of his family, the battles he fought. He speaks not just for Aiyana, but for the hope of peace, for the Chickasaw belief that community is strength. He faces their pressure head-on, choosing Aiyana over neutrality, knowing it may cost him his place at the post. His choice is a quiet act of courage, a step toward the future he dreams of, where his people and the settlers can share the land without blood. Aiyana, too, feels the strain of this fight. One night, alone in her small room at the post, she sits with a single candle, its flame flickering like her resolve. She thinks of her mother, the woman she believed abandoned her, the pain that has shaped her life. She wonders if she can keep fighting, if she can keep healing in a world that sees her as a threat. But then she remembers the child's flower, the warmth of Neshoba's words, the river's gentle song. She closes her eyes and prays again, not for escape, but for the strength to stand tall. The Choctaw spirits answer, their presence a whisper in her heart, reminding her that she is not alone, that the earth holds her, that her people's wisdom will guide her. The tension at the trading post grows heavier each day, like a storm cloud ready to burst. Aiyana continues her work, healing those who come to her, even as the accusations persist. Neshoba stands by her, not as a savior, but as a friend, a partner in this struggle. Their bond, forged in shared stories and quiet moments, gives them both strength. They carry the wisdom of their people, Aiyana with the Choctaw's harmony with nature, Neshoba with the Chickasaw's call to community. Together, they face a world that tests their resilience, their hope, their hearts. The trading post is a battleground, not of weapons but of trust and fear. And Aiyana and Neshoba are at its center, fighting not just for themselves, but for a future where healing triumphs over hate. The trading post in Louisiana, 1875, hums with its usual rhythm, but a new presence stirs the air. Dust swirls as an elder from the Choctaw tribe steps into the clearing, his face weathered like the bark of an ancient oak, his eyes kind but heavy with stories. His name is Tallulah, a keeper of his people's memories, and he has traveled far to find Ayanna. The crowd parts as he walks, his steps slow but sure, his woven shawl catching the light of the setting sun. Whispers follow him, curiosity mixing with unease. Ayanna, tending to her herbs near the edge of the post, feels a strange pull in her chest when she sees him. She does not know this man, yet his presence feels like a thread tugging at the edges of her past. Neshoba, standing nearby, watches closely, his instincts sharp, sensing that this moment will change everything. Tallulah approaches Ayanna, his voice soft but clear, like the ripple of a stream. "You are Ayanna, eternal blossom," he says, his words carrying the weight of recognition. Ayanna stiffens, her hands pausing over the sage she is bundling. She nods, wary, her heart pounding with a mix of hope and fear. The elder's eyes soften, and he gestures for her to sit with him on a wooden bench near the post's fire pit. The flames cast shadows on his face as he begins to speak, his voice weaving a story that unravels the foundation of Ayanna's life. "Your mother," he says. "Her name was Nita, meaning bear. She was strong, fierce, a woman who carried the Choctaw spirit in her bones." Ayanna's breath catches at the mention of her mother, the woman she has hated for so long, the one who sold her to the trading post when she was just a child. The memory is a wound, raw and jagged, one she has buried beneath years of survival. But Talluah's next words shatter that wound wide open. "Your mother did not sell you," he says, his voice steady but laced with sorrow. "She was taken. Raiders came to our village, men who stole lives and tore families apart. Nita fought them, her hands clawing, her voice screaming your name. They dragged her away, but she never stopped fighting. She died trying to return to you." The words land like stones in Ayanna's heart, heavy and unyielding. She stares at Tallulah, her eyes wide, her breath shallow. The world around her fades, the chatter of the trading post, the crackle of the fire, all of it drowned by the truth crashing over her. Her mother did not abandon her. Her mother loved her, fought for her, died for her. The hate Ayanna has carried for years, the hate that shaped her walls, her sharp tongue, her refusal to trust, was built on a lie. Her hands tremble as she presses them to her chest, trying to hold herself together. "I carried hate for her all these years," she whispers, her voice breaking. "How do I let it go?" Tallulah reaches out, his hand resting gently on hers, his touch warm, like the earth after rain. "You let it go by honoring her love," he says. "You are her daughter, her blossom. She lives in you." Ayanna rises, her legs unsteady, and walks away from the fire, away from the eyes of the post. She finds herself by the river, its waters dark under the twilight sky, its gentle flow a stark contrast to the storm in her heart. She sinks to her knees, her hands digging into the cool earth, tears falling freely now. She sees her mother's face, not the cold figure of her memories, but a woman with fierce eyes and a warm smile, a woman who sang lullabies and braided Ayanna's hair. She sees the moment her mother was taken, imagines her fighting, her voice calling out, "Ayanna, my blossom." The pain is unbearable, a grief that cuts deeper than any wound she has ever healed. She has spent her life believing she was not enough, that she was cast aside, but now she knows the truth. Her mother loved her until her last breath. Ayanna clutches a handful of riverbank mud, her sobs quiet but raw, and whispers to the water, "I am sorry, Mama. I did not know." Neshoba, who has been watching from a distance, follows her to the river. He does not speak, does not rush to fill the silence with words. He simply sits beside her, his presence steady, like a tree rooted deep in the earth. The river flows between them, its sound a soft hymn, and Neshoba's silence is a gift, a space for Aiyana to feel her grief without judgment. She glances at him, her eyes red, her face streaked with tears. He meets her gaze, his own eyes soft with understanding, carrying the weight of his own losses. He knows what it is to lose a family, to carry guilt and pain. He does not need to say it. His quiet strength speaks louder than words. Aiyana feels a flicker of warmth in her chest, a reminder that she is not alone, that Neshoba sees her, not as a healer or a witch, but as a woman whose heart is breaking and healing all at once. The next day, Aiyana returns to the trading post, her steps slower, her eyes still shadowed by grief. Talua is there, waiting, and he shares more of her mother's story. Nita was a healer, like Aiyana, her hands skilled with herbs, her heart open to those in need. She taught the village children to listen to the earth, to find medicine in its gifts. She was proud of you, Talua says, her little blossom, always asking questions, always running to the river. Aiyana listens, her heart aching but softening, as if the truth is stitching together the pieces of her soul. She imagines her mother's laughter, her voice calling her name, and for the first time she feels not just pain, but love. She clutches a small braid of sage Talua gives her, a keepsake from her mother's belongings, and holds it close, a tangible piece of the woman she lost. Neshoba, too, feels the impact of this truth. He sees the change in Aiyana, the way her shoulders carry a new weight, but also a new lightness. He speaks to her one evening as they stand by the fire, the trading post quiet under a starlit sky. "You are stronger than you know," he says, his voice low but sure. "You carry her love now, not just her pain." Aiyana nods, her fingers tracing the sage braid, her eyes glistening. "I want to honor her," she says, "to be the healer she was, to make her proud." Neshoba smiles, a rare softness breaking through his steady demeanor, and in that moment their bond deepens, forged in shared understanding, in the quiet courage of facing truth. The trading post remains tense, the accusations of witchcraft still lingering, but Aiyana feels different now. The truth about her mother has reshaped her, like a river carving a new path through stone. She is still the eternal blossom, but now she knows her roots, knows the love that planted her. She prays by the river each morning, her voice stronger, her heart open to the Choctaw spirits and to her mother's memory. Neshoba stands by her, not as a protector, but as a partner, his Chickasaw wisdom blending with her Choctaw strength. They face an uncertain future, but this moment, this truth, has changed everything. Aiyana's grief is raw, but it is also a seed, one that will grow into healing, into hope, into a life she never dared imagine. The river flows on, carrying her pain and her love, and Aiyana knows she must find a way to let go, to honor her mother, and to keep fighting for the peace her heart now dares to believe in. The night is dark in Louisiana, 1875, the sky heavy with clouds that hide the stars. The trading post, already strained by weeks of suspicion and fear, is about to face its breaking point. A spark, unnoticed in the chaos of the day, catches on a pile of dry crates. Flames leap to life, hungry and relentless, swallowing the wooden stalls and precious supplies. The fire roars, its light painting the faces of settlers and natives alike in shades of orange and fear. Shouts pierce the air as people rush to save what they can, buckets of water splashing uselessly against the blaze. By the time the flames are tamed, the heart of the trading post lies in ashes, barrels of grain and stacks of furs reduced to smoldering ruins. The crowd gathers, their faces etched with loss, their voices rising in anger. Someone points to Aiyana, the Choctaw healer, standing at the edge of the chaos, her eyes wide with sorrow. "It was her," a settler yells, his voice sharp with accusation. "She cursed us. Her witchcraft brought this fire." The word spreads like the flames themselves, and soon a mob forms, their fists clenched, their eyes burning with rage. Ayanna stands alone, the weight of their blame pressing against her, but she does not flinch. She has faced hate before, but this moment feels like a storm, ready to sweep her away. Neshoba of the Chickasaw pushes through the crowd, his heart pounding, his steady presence a beacon in the turmoil. He sees Ayanna, her chin lifted, her hand steady despite the chaos. He knows the danger, knows that a mob fueled by fear can destroy everything they have fought for. The settlers' voices grow louder, demanding justice, some calling for Ayanna to be driven out, others whispering darker threats. Neshoba steps beside her, his shoulder brushing hers, a silent promise that she is not alone. But Ayanna's eyes flash with defiance, her voice low as she speaks to him. "I will not run," she says. This is my home too." Neshoba nods, his respect for her strength deepening, but he knows that fighting back with fists will only bring more pain. He looks to the crowd, then to Ayanna, and an idea takes root, one born of the wisdom of their people. "We need a council," he says, his voice cutting through the noise. "Not blades, not blood, but words." Ayanna meets his gaze, her heart racing, and she nods. Together, they will face this fire, not with anger, but with the traditions that have carried their people through centuries of hardship. The call for a council spreads, and slowly the mob's fury begins to falter. Settlers, natives, traders, and elders gather in a wide circle near the river, the charred remains of the trading post looming behind them. A fire is lit at the center, its flames smaller now, a symbol of hope rather than destruction. Ayanna and Neshoba stand side by side, their presence commanding yet humble. The air is thick with tension, but the Choctaw elder Tuluwa, still present from his visit, raises his hands, his voice calling for silence. The Choctaw and Chickasaw have long solved disputes with stories and shared truth, he says. Let us do so now. Ayanna steps forward, her heart heavy but her spirit strong, the sage braid from her mother tucked into her belt, a reminder of the love she now carries. She speaks, her voice clear, rising like the river's song. "The earth gave us all life," she says, her eyes sweeping over the crowd. "Why burn it down with anger? We are different, but we share this land, this water, this sky." Her words, rooted in the Choctaw belief that all life is connected, touch something deep in the listeners. A few settlers shift, their faces softening, while others still clench their fists. But they listen. Neshoba speaks next, his voice steady, carrying the weight of his Chickasaw heritage. "We are different," he says, "but the same stars shine over us. My people have faced loss, fire, war, yet we stand because we hold each other up." He shares a story, one his father told him, of a Chickasaw village that burned long ago. The people did not fight over the ashes, he says. They rebuilt together because one heart alone cannot carry a home. His words are simple but powerful, echoing the Chickasaw value of community, of strength in unity. He looks to Ayanna, his eyes warm with pride, and she feels a surge of courage, knowing they are stronger together. The crowd murmurs, some nodding, others still hesitant, but the fire of their anger begins to fade, replaced by the flicker of possibility. Ayanna takes a breath and shares a Choctaw tale, her voice soft but unwavering. "Long ago," she says, "a great flood came, and the people were scattered. They survived by listening to the earth, by weaving their lives together like roots of a tree. We can do the same." She kneels, picking up a handful of ash from the ground, letting it slip through her fingers. "This fire took much, but it cannot take our will to rebuild." Her story, her vulnerability, reaches the heart of the crowd. A settler woman, whose son Ayanna healed, steps forward, her voice trembling. "She saved my boy," she says. She is no witch. She is one of us. Her words spark others, a trader who owes Ayanna for mending his leg, a native woman who knows her kindness. The council becomes a tapestry of voices, stories of loss and survival, of mistakes and forgiveness, blending Choctaw and Chickasaw traditions with the raw honesty of the moment. Neshoba adds another story, his voice rich with emotion, of a lone wolf who found strength in the pack. "We are that pack," he says, looking to settlers and natives alike. "We can fight and fall, or we can stand and build." The crowd is quieter now, the mob's fury dissolving into reflection. Tallulah speaks again, his voice a gentle command. "In my years I have seen hate tear the world apart," he says, "but I have also seen truth bring it back together. Let us choose truth." The council stretches into the night, stories flowing like the river nearby, each one a step toward understanding. Ayanna and Neshoba listen, their hearts full, knowing their people's wisdom is weaving a new path. As dawn breaks, the crowd reaches a consensus, not perfect, but real. They will rebuild the trading post together, sharing the land, the work, the hope. A settler man, once loud with accusations, offers Ayanna a quiet nod, his eyes apologetic. A native elder clasped Neshoba's shoulder, pride in his gaze. Ayanna feels tears prick her eyes, not of sorrow, but of something deeper, a sense of belonging she has never known. She looks to Neshoba, his face lit by the rising sun, and sees the same hope mirrored in his eyes. They have faced the fire, not with weapons, but with stories, with the Choctaw and Chickasaw ways of consensus and connection. The trading post is still in ashes, but its people are not. They stand together, their hearts open, their spirits lifted by the power of unity. Ayanna clutches her mother's sage braid, feeling her love, her strength, and knows this moment is a victory, not just for her, but for all who choose peace over pain. The dawn breaks over Louisiana, 1875, painting the sky in hues of gold and pink, a quiet promise of new beginnings. The trading post, scarred by the fire that tore through its heart, stands silent, its ashes a testament to loss, but also to something greater, hope. The council, born from Ayanna and Neshoba's courage, has woven a fragile but powerful peace. Settlers and natives, once divided by fear and blame, now stand together, their voices softer, their hands ready to rebuild. They agree to share the land, to raise the trading post anew, not as a place of division, but as a home for all. Men and women, Choctaw and Chickasaw, settlers and traders, begin to clear the debris, their movements slow but purposeful, each step a vow to mend what was broken. The air, once thick with anger, now carries the sound of shared purpose, the clatter of wood, the murmur of plans, the faint laughter of those who dare to dream again. It is not a perfect peace, for trust is a seed that takes time to grow. But it is real, a fragile blossom rooted in the courage to choose unity over hate. Ayanna of the Choctaw walks to the river at first light, her heart full of a quiet she has not known before. The water flows gently, catching the sunrise in its ripples, a mirror to the healing within her. She kneels on the bank, her fingers brushing the sage braid tucked into her belt, a gift from her mother, Nita, whose love she now carries like a flame. Ayanna closes her eyes, her voice soft as she speaks to the spirit of the mother she once hated, the mother she now knows fought to return to her. "I am your daughter, not your pain," she whispers, her words carried by the wind. "I carry your love now, Mama, and I will make you proud." Tears fall, but they are not heavy with grief. They are tears of release, of forgiveness, of a heart finding its way home. Ayanna feels her mother's presence in the rustle of the leaves, in the song of the river, in the warmth of the sun on her face. She is no longer the girl who was sold, no longer the healer accused of witchcraft. She is Ayanna, eternal blossom, a woman whose roots are deep in the Choctaw earth, whose spirit is woven with the love of her people, and her mother's unbreakable heart. She rises, her shoulders lighter, her eyes bright with a peace she has fought so hard to find. Neshoba of the Chickasaw stands nearby, watching the horizon where the sky meets the land, a line that speaks of possibilities yet to come. His heart, once burdened by the loss of his family, now beats with a quiet hope. He has seen what can be built when people choose stories over swords, when they listen to the wisdom of the earth and the stars. He turns to Aiyana, his voice steady but warm. "The future is ours to build," he says, his words a promise, not just to her, but to himself, to his Chickasaw ancestors, to the dream of a world where his son's laughter might echo again in the children who will grow here. Neshoba feels the weight of his past, the guilt of those he could not save. But he also feels the strength of his people, the Chickasaw belief that community is the root of all endurance. He looks at the trading post, at the people working side by side, and sees a spark of the peace he has longed for. It is not perfect, but it is enough to keep him moving forward, to keep him believing in a tomorrow worth fighting for. Together, Aiyana and Neshoba walk to the river's edge, their steps in sync, their bond a quiet strength that has carried them through fire and fear. They stand in silence, watching as children from both communities gather nearby, their laughter rising like a song. A settler girl, the one Aiyana healed, chases a Choctaw boy, their giggles blending with the rustle of the grass. They play by the river, their small hands tossing pebbles into the water, their faces bright with the joy of a new day. Aiyana's heart swells, a lump rising in her throat as she sees in them the future she and Neshoba have fought for. A world where differences do not divide, where children can run free under the same sky. Neshoba's hand brushes hers, not a claim, but a connection, a shared understanding that they have built something sacred. They do not speak of love, not yet, but their bond is deeper, a partnership forged in trust, in the shared wisdom of their people, in the courage to choose hope over despair. The trading post begins to take shape again, wooden beams rising from the ashes, hands of all colors working together. A settler man, once loud with accusations, approaches Aiyana, his hat in his hands, his voice low. "I was wrong about you," he says, his eyes meeting hers. "You saved us all." Aiyana nods, her smile small but genuine, a bridge built where a wall once stood. Taluwa, the Choctaw elder, watches from a distance, his face creased with pride. He sees in Aiyana the spirit of her mother, in Neshoba the heart of his people, and in this moment the wisdom of the Choctaw and Chickasaw shines bright. The river flows on, its waters carrying the pain of the past and the promise of the future. A reminder that even the deepest wounds can heal, that even the darkest nights give way to dawn. Aiyana and Neshoba stand together as the sun climbs higher, its light bathing the land in warmth. They watch the children, the workers, the river, their hearts full of a quiet joy. They have faced loss, hate, and fire, but they have also found healing, unity, and hope. Aiyana clutches her mother's sage braid, feeling Nita's love in every breath. Neshoba looks to the horizon, seeing not just the land, but the dreams they will build upon it. The trading post is more than wood and trade now. It is a home, a place where broken roots can bloom again. Their journey is not over, for peace is a path, not a destination, but they walk it together, their spirits lifted by the love of their people, the strength of their bond, and the promise of a new day. In the heart of struggle, they have found peace, proving that even the smallest seed, when tended with care, can grow into something eternal. The sun rises higher over Louisiana, 1875, its golden light spilling across the river, the land, and the people who have chosen to rebuild together. The trading post, once a heap of ashes, now hums with new life. Wooden beams stand tall, hammered into place by hands of settlers and natives, their differences softened by the shared sweat of creation. Laughter echoes as children dart between the half-built stalls, their voices a melody of hope, a promise that the future can be kinder than the past. Ayanna of the Choctaw and Neshoba of the Chickasaw stand at the heart of this renewal, their bond a quiet anchor in a world still learning to heal. They have faced fire, fear, and the weight of their own scars, but they have also found something greater, a truth that binds them to each other and to the land they call home. Ayanna walks to the river each morning, her steps lighter now, her heart no longer a battlefield. She carries her mother's sage braid, a small piece of Nita's love, and ties it to a willow branch by the water's edge. The river listens as she speaks, her voice steady, her words a prayer. "Mama, I am your blossom," she says, "and I will grow where you planted me." She feels her mother's spirit in the ripple of the current, in the whisper of the wind, in the warmth of the earth beneath her feet. The Choctaw teachings that all life is connected pulse through her, guiding her hands as she heals, her heart as she forgives. She kneels, pressing her palms to the ground, and smiles, a smile that holds both joy and sorrow, a smile that says she is whole. Not because her pain is gone, but because she has learned to carry it with love. The river flows on, carrying her prayers, her gratitude, her promise to live as her mother did, with courage and care. Neshoba, too, finds peace in this new dawn. He stands on a hill overlooking the trading post, his eyes tracing the horizon where the sky kisses the earth. The loss of his family, his wife and son, remains a quiet ache, but it no longer defines him. He has found purpose in this place, in the laughter of the children, in the hands that work together, in the fragile peace he helped build. The Chickasaw wisdom, that one tree falls but the forest stands strong, lives in him, a reminder that community is the root of all healing. He thinks of his son, imagines him running with the children below, and whispers to the stars, "I am building for you." Neshoba's hope is not loud, but it is deep, a fire that burns steady, fueled by the belief that his people and the settlers can share this land, not as enemies, but as kin under the same sky. One evening, as the trading post glows with the light of lanterns, Ayanna and Neshoba sit by the river, the water silver under the moon. The air is cool, the world quiet, save for the soft hum of crickets and the distant chatter of families. Ayanna looks at Neshoba, her eyes tracing the lines of his face, the strength and sorrow etched there. "You stayed," she says, her voice soft but clear. "When it was easier to walk away, you stayed." Neshoba meets her gaze, his smile small but warm. "So did you," he says. "We are stronger together." Their words are simple, but they carry the weight of their journey, the fire they faced, the truth they uncovered, the peace they built. Ayanna reaches for his hand, her touch light but sure, and he takes it, their fingers intertwining like roots of a tree. It is not a vow of love, not yet, but it is a promise, a shared commitment to walk this path side by side, to honor their people, their past, and the future they are shaping. The trading post grows stronger each day, its stalls bustling with trade, its people learning to see each other not as strangers, but as neighbors. The settler woman whose son Ayanna healed brings her a basket of bread, her eyes shy but grateful. A Chickasaw elder teaches a settler boy to weave a basket, their laughter bridging years of mistrust. Taluwa, the Choctaw elder, watches it all, his heart full, knowing that Ayanna and Neshoba have planted a seed that will outlive them. He joins them by the river one morning, his voice low but proud. "You have done what many could not," he says. "You have turned ashes into hope." Ayanna smiles, her hand brushing the sage braid, and Neshoba nods, his eyes on the children playing nearby. They know this peace is fragile, that the world beyond the post still holds shadows, but they also know it is worth fighting for. As the seasons turn, Ayanna and Neshoba remain at the trading post, their lives woven into its rhythm. Ayanna heals, her hands guiding the sick back to health, her prayers rising with the smoke of sage. Nashoba trades, his steady presence a bridge between communities, his stories keeping the Chickasaw spirit alive. They do not marry, for their bond is deeper than names or vows. It is a partnership of souls, rooted in the earth, guided by the stars. They watch the children grow, the ones who play by the river, their laughter a song that carries the promise of a better world. Ayanna sees her mother in those children, in their fearless joy, and Nashoba sees his son in their boundless hope. One day, years later, Ayanna stands by the river, her hair streaked with silver, her hands still steady. Nashoba is beside her, his face lined with time, but his eyes still bright with the spark of dreams. The trading post is a village now, its homes filled with families, its fields green with crops, its people bound by a peace that has grown stronger with each passing year. A young girl, half Choctaw, half settler, runs to Ayanna, holding a flower, her smile wide. "For you," she says, and Ayanna takes it, her heart swelling with a love that feels like her mother's. Nashoba watches, his hand resting on Ayanna's shoulder, and they share a look, one that holds a lifetime of struggle, healing, and hope. The river flows on, its waters eternal, carrying the stories of those who came before, the pain they endured, the love they left behind. Ayanna and Nashoba know their time will pass, as all things do, but they have left something eternal, a community that thrives, a peace that endures, a legacy of roots that will never break. They stand together, the sun warm on their faces, the children's laughter in their ears, and they know they have honored their people, their past, their hearts. In the heart of struggle, they found peace, proving that even the most broken roots can bloom again, that the earth and the stars will always guide those who listen.